fantasy stories are fiction stories. They're not true. And oftentimes, fantasy stories happen, the setting is in an unusual place. In the middle of the screen, you see the mini lesson poster. I'd like us to take a look at that real quick. Here are some books that we have read this year. One is the Beanstalk, um, Kate and the Beanstalk. Remember that book we read? Well, that takes place at the castle at the top of the beanstalk. Why is this an unusual place? Because there are not really high beanstalks with castles at the top of them. That's a very unusual place. Remember that other book we read? It's called The Big Bad Bubble. That happened in La La Land. La La Land is an unusual place. There is not really a place called La La Land where monsters live. It is a make-believe place. And then remember that one story that we read, Babushka Baba Yaga? I love saying that. It's kind of fun. That happened in Russia, which is actually a place near a forest with witches and fairies. Well, witches and fairies like the ones in that story do not exist. It is unusual. It is a make-believe. That's why it's a fantasy story. So as you read today, I'd like you to go to Epic and look up some fantasy stories. See if you can find a fantasy story and notice if the setting is unusual or if it could happen in the real world. Because sometimes the settings are real and sometimes they're unusual and make-believe. That kind of makes the fantasy stories fun because it's make-believe. And if you ever decide to be an author and do a fantasy book, you could make up a setting where your story takes place. So as you read today, look at a fantasy book, see what the setting is, and then share with your classmates or parent what you find out.